Tonight, Barry Bostwick, Simon Estes, Judy Kaye, Joshua Rifkin, and the United States Marine Band. Join your host, John Denver, for an Independence Day celebration in performance at the White House. Let's join the President and Mrs. Bush in the East Room.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Denver.
Mr. President, Mrs. Bush, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, thank you very much. Today, in performance at the White House, begins a new season with a new first family, and we welcome you all. As we celebrate our nation's freedom, we turn, as always, to music. Our music director today is Mr. Dick Hyman. What a special place to celebrate. You know, there's always been music in the chief executive's house right from the very beginning, which means even before there was a White House. George Washington sponsored lots of concerts. He danced expertly. He would have loved this, but he never lived here. It hadn't been finished yet. The White House is a democratic place. That's with a small d, sir. I think this must be the only country in the world where the chief lives in a house, lives and works in a house that is continuously open to the public. And I think that's pretty far out. It is our house, you see. It's a symbol for the whole country. And from time to time, our songwriters have reminded us that we are one big family, that is the source of our strength. Here to give us a stirring example of that spirit is Mr. Simon Estes, an internationally known opera star. Mr. Estes is no stranger to the White House. He's performed here before, as well as at the inaugural concert at the Kennedy Center, the United Nations 25th anniversary, and the opening of the Olympic Games, and we were together at the Statue of Liberty Centennial. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Simon Estes.
What is America to me? A name, a map, a flag I see, a certain word, democracy. What is America to me? The house I live in, a plot of earth, a street, the grocer and the butcher and the people that I meet, the children in the playground, the faces that I see, all races and religions, that's America to me. I see about me, the big things and the small, the little corner newsstand and the house a mile tall, the wedding and the churchyard, the laughter and the tears, the dream that's been a growing for over 200 years. The town I live in, the street, the house, the room, the pavement of the city, or a garden all in bloom, the church, the school, the clubhouse, the million lights I see, but especially the people, that's America.
You ain't heard nothing yet. You know, our world has gotten complicated in some ways, but in other ways we all still depend on values from a simpler, more innocent time. And the songs from that time, well, they may be old, but they've never grown old, if you know what I mean. And Judy Kaye will show you exactly what I mean. Miss Kaye recently won a Tony Award for her performance in the Broadway hit Phantom of the Opera. She's appeared in many hits on Broadway, Sound of Music, South Pacific, Grease, Annie Get Your Gun. She's done opera and operetta and concerts of all kinds everywhere. We are in good hands, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Judy Kaye.
Beyond recall, when on the world the mists began to fall, out of the dreams that rose in happy throng, lo, to our hearts, love's song, an old sweet song, and in the dusk where fell the firelight gleam, softly it wove itself into our dream. Just a song at twilight, when the lights are low, and the flickering shadows softly come and go. Though the heart be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song. Though the hearts be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song.
A song that's never grown old for me is the standard that answers that wonderful question, what would we do without music to express ourselves? What would we do without a song? Without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, the road would never bend. When things go wrong, a man ain't got a friend. Without a song, that field of corn would never see a plow, that field of corn would be deserted now. A man is born, but he's no good, no how, without a son. I got my trouble and woe, but should as I know the Jordan will roll, I'll get along as long as this song is strong in my soul. I'll never know what makes the grass so tall. I'll never know what makes the rain to fall. I only know there ain't no love at all without a song. I got my trouble and woe, but should as I know the Jordan will roll, I'll get along as long as this song is strong in my soul. I'll never know what makes the grass so tall. I'll never know what makes the rain to fall. I only know there ain't no love at all without a
My little guitar are going to try and follow that. It's been my privilege over the years to make a small contribution to the popular music of our time. And whenever I sit down to write a song, I find myself choosing metaphors that come from nature, from the environment, from the beautiful, precious land that we live on. It might be a Rocky Mountain in Colorado, or the wilderness of Alaska, or the country roads of West Virginia. This song, Mr. President, Mrs. Bush, I performed for the first time publicly at Carnegie Hall, my first appearance there, and you were in the audience, if you remember. He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. Left yesterday behind him, you might say he was born again. Might say he found a key for every door. When he first came to the mountains, his life was far away, on the road and hanging by a song. But the string's already broken and he doesn't really care. Keeps changing fast, it don't last for long. Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, and I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. The shadow from the starlight is softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High. He climbed Cathedral Mountain, saw silver clouds below, saw everything as far as you can see. And they say that he got crazy once and tried to touch the sun, and he lost a friend that kept his memory. Now we walked in quiet solitude, the forest and the stream, seeking grace in every step he takes. His side is turned inside himself to try and understand the serenity of a clear blue mountain lake. In the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. You can talk to God and listen to the casual reply. Rocky Mountain High in Colorado, Rocky Mountain High. Now his life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of the simple thing he cannot comprehend. Why they try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more scars upon the land. In the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. I know he'd be a poor man if he never saw an eagle fly. Rocky Mountain High, it's the Colorado Rocky Mountain High. Now I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Friends around a campfire, everybody's high. Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a day that I could give you, I'd give to you a day just like today. If I had a song that I could sing for you, I'd sing a song to make you feel this way. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. Sunshine, almost all the time, makes me high. Sunshine, almost always. Thank you. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like the breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hours. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, sing it with me. Country road, take me home, yes, to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Down country road, take me home. Down country road. Watching would like that too. People singing along. So we've heard a variety of songs, and about every one of them, it could be said that that's a real American folk song. The great American composers have always tried to get right down to the essence of our music. And let's hear what one of the greatest of them, George Gershwin, had to say about the subject, with words by his brilliantly witty brother Ira. And to tell us what a real American folk song is, here's Mr. Barry Bostwick. We saw Mr. Bostwick in War and Remembrance, for which he won a Golden Globe Award, and in many other miniseries and movies for television. He has a Tony Award for his work on Broadway. He played George Washington in the famous novel for TV about our first president. So we're very, very happy that Washington is finally coming to the White House.
Near Barcelona, the peasant croons the old traditional Spanish tunes. The Neapolitan street song sighs. You think of Italian skies. Each nation has a creative vein, originating a native strain, with folk songs plaintive and others gay, in their own peculiar way.
American folk songs I feel have a much stronger appeal.
The real American folk song is a rag, a mental jag, a rhythmic tonic for the chronic blues.
The critics call it a joke song.
But now they've changed their tune and they like it somehow.
For it's inoculated with a syncopated sort of meter.
Oh no, sweeter than a classic strain. Boy, you can't remain still and quiet, for it's a riot.
A real American folk song is like a fountain of youth.
You taste and it elates you and then
Invigorates you.
the real American folk song, a master stroke song, is a rag.
You may dislike or you may adore the native songs from a foreign shore. They may be songs that you can't forget. They may be distinctive,
Yes.
They lack a something, a certain snap. The tempo ticklish that makes you tap. The invitation to agitate. And leave the rest to fate.
A raggy refrain anytime sends me a message sublime.
A real American folk song is a rag, a mental jag.
I knew she'd get it.
A rhythmic tonic for the chronic blues.
The critics called it a joke song.
But now they've changed their tune and they like it somehow.
For it's inoculated with a syncopated sort of meter.
Sweeter than a classic strain, for you can't remain still and quiet, for it's a
A
riot.
real American folk song is like a fountain of youth.
And it elates you and then invigorates you.
The real American folk song, a master stroke song, is a rag. That old American rag. From the Gershwin's Ragtime to another Ragtime, the world-famous novel by E.L. Doctorow. I'd like to read for you this wonderful evocation of a time gone by. It was a harder time. The people relied more on the kindness they could do for each other. America had a large population of new immigrants, and especially for them, it was a hard time. It was a time when that raggedy rhythm music was king, and it was a time of trolley cars. Trolleys went along in clusters, their bells ringing, the flashes of electricity from their pantographs crackling along the overhead wires in minute intensifications of the heat lightning that flattened the sky over the darkening, sultry city. Tata had no idea where he was going, and the little girl held his hand tightly. There was, in these days of our history, a highly developed system of interurban street railway lines. One could travel great distances on hard rush seats or wooden benches by taking each line to its terminus and transferring to the next. Tata did not know anything about the routes. He only planned to keep on going as far as each streetcar would take him. In the early hours of the first morning of their trip, they crossed the city line of Mount Vernon, New York, and there learned that the next service would not begin till daylight. They found a small park and slept in the bandshell in the morning. They washed, refreshed themselves in a public facility. As the sun came up, they boarded a bright red and yellow streetcar, and the conductor greeted them cheerfully. Tata paid a nickel for himself and 2 cents for the child. On the wooden floor of the car at the rear were stacked crates filled with wet and glistening quart bottles of milk. Tata offered to buy one. The conductor looked at him and then at the little girl and told him to take one out, but did not wait to be paid for it. He pulled the cord, the trolley bell rang, and the car lurched into motion. The conductor sang. He was a robust, big-bellied man with a tenor voice. He had a change-making machine strapped to his belt. A while later, the streetcar entered the city of New Rochelle, New York, and slowly made its way up Main Street. Traffic was heavier now, the sun was up, and the small city was a-bustle. It was explained to Tata that if he wanted to ride through, he had to transfer to the Post Road shoreline at the corner of North Avenue. Now, this was done by paying another penny for each transfer. Tata and the little girl got off at the corner of Main Street and North Avenue and waited for the connecting trolley. At this moment, the Post Road streetcar appeared, and Tata, holding the little girl firmly by the wrist, walked into the street and stepped aboard. The streetcar went up the Post Road along the Long Island Sound shoreline to the Connecticut border. In Greenwich, Connecticut, they transferred to another car. This took them through the cities of Stamford, Norwalk, and then to Bridgeport, the burial place of Tom Thumb. By now, they knew how to tell when the end of the line was approaching. You see, the conductor would walk back through the car and reverse the empty seats, going along the aisle and yanking the handles attached to the back seats without breaking stride. At Bridgeport, they transferred again. The tracks turned inland, and they stopped for the night in New Haven, Connecticut. They slept in a rooming house and had breakfast in the landlady's dining room. Tata furiously brushed his trousers and jacket and soft cap before going downstairs. He tied a bow tie around his frayed collar. He made sure that the little girl wore her clean pinafore. It was a rooming house for university students, and some of them were at the table. They wore gold spectacles and turtleneck sweaters. After breakfast, the old artist and his daughter walked to the streetcar tracks and resumed their journey. A car of the Springfield Traction Company took them to New Britain and then to the city of Hartford. The car slowly swung through the narrow streets of Hartford, the clapboard houses of the city seemingly close enough to reach out and touch. Then they were on the outskirts and racing along north to Springfield, Massachusetts. The great wooden car swayed from side to side. The wind flew in their faces. They sped along the edges of open fields from which birds started and settled as they passed. The little girl saw herds of grazing cows. She saw brown horses loping in the sun. A thin layer of chokta settled on her face like a mask, whitening her complexion, bringing out her large, moist eyes, the redness of her mouth. And Tata was momentarily shocked by a vision of her maturity. The car barreled along its tracks down the side of the road, and whenever it approached an intersection, its air horn blew. Once it stopped and took on a load of produce. Riders crowded the aisle. The little girl could not wait for the speed to be up. Tata realized she was happy. Why, she loved the trip. Holding the suitcase on his lap with just one arm, Tata put the other around his child. He found himself smiling. The wind blew in his face and filled his mouth. The car threatened to jump off the tracks. It banged from side to side, and everyone laughed. Tata laughed. He saw the village of his youth going by now. Some versts beyond the meadow. There was a church steeple seen above a hill. As a child, he loved wagons. He loved the rides on the big tumbrils in summer moonlight, the bodies of children falling over one another in the hard, bumping wagons. And he looked around at the riders on the trolley. And for the first time since coming to America, he thought, might be possible to live here. In Springfield, they bought bread and cheese and boarded a modern dark green car of the Worcester Electric Street Railway. Tata realized now that he was going at least as far as Boston. He computed the cost of all of the fares. It would come to $2.40 for him and just over $1 for the child. The trolley hummed along the dirt road, the sun behind it now going down in the Berkshires. Stands of fir trees threw long shadows. They passed a single oarsman in a scull on a very quiet, broad street. They saw a great dripping mill wheel turning slowly over a creek. The shadows deepened. The little girl fell asleep. And Tata clutched the suitcase on his lap and kept his eyes on the tracks ahead.
Ragtime. The word itself seems to define a period in our history. It was that enchanted time when the Civil War was a fading memory and peace and prosperity looked endless. The country was building up fast and new entertainments were sweeping the nation, even some low-class entertainments. And ragtime was low class. Professors played it in houses you wouldn't want your daughter to be seen in. But boy, was ragtime fun. You know, the word comes from ragged, raggedy rhythm, not smooth, a joyous sound even when played slowly, which was the way the greatest of the ragtime composers, Scott Joplin, said it must be played. Never play ragtime fast. He wrote right there on the front page of most of his famous rags. Well, ragtime, which once sounded impossibly new, now appeals to us as reassuringly old, a part of our tradition. And here to play some Scott Joplin rags for you is the man who must take credit for keeping ragtime alive and well and not fast. Mr. Rifkin is a musicologist, a renowned interpreter of Bach. He is a frequent guest conductor of symphony orchestras all over the world, travels widely with his own group, the Bach Ensemble. It is a pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Joshua Rifkin.
dancing right here is where we shine. Oh, my, but isn't that a wonderful tune? It's by a gentleman friend of mine. Goodness me, it's all the candy. Lord, I hope they play that dandy tune all the time. Tease up to me, ease up to me, lovey, squeeze up to me, freeze up to me, stubby. My goodness, man, you never can lose me. Not when I hear that straight. Lordy, don't believe it, keep step and feel. Don't stop until I do. Stick to it, kid. You always did try to set me a reeling. Oh, what a feeling. Oh, that pineapple rag. Hear me sigh, hear me cry for that pineapple rag. What a dream. It sure does seem like heaven when we drag. Soulful eyes, hypnotize. You are wonderful wise. You idolize me, so please surprise me by doing that pineapple rag. Oh, yeah. Soulful eyes, hypnotize. You are wonderful wise. You idolize me, so please surprise me by doing that pineapple rag.
Won't you play a simple melody like my mother sang to me? One with good old-fashioned harmony. Play a simple melody. Oh, not again.
Musical theme, it's like my honey and cream, and won't you play me some rag?
A little rag.
Just change that classical nag.
Nag, nag.
Some sweet music drag.
If you will play from a copy of a tune that is choppy, you'll get all my applause. And that is simply because I want to listen to rag. Are you ready?
Won't you play a simple melody like my mother sang to me? One with good old-fashioned harmony. Play a simple melody.
Musical theme, it's like my honey and cream, and won't you play me some rag?
Just change that classical rag to some sweet musical drag. If you will play from the copy of the tune that is choppy, you'll get all my applause. And that is simply because I want to rag. That's rag.
Play a Simple Melody by Irving Berlin from his musical Watch Your Step, the first Broadway show to put ragtime front and center. But could those audiences applauding that happy sound know that they were enjoying the very end of the ragtime era, and that the world as they knew it was about to change forever? The year was 1914. In 1976, in recognition of our country's bicentennial, a new musical opened on Broadway titled 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Written by Leonard Bernstein and Alan J. Lerner, it was about the office of the presidency, past and present. This, after all, is the house at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And from that show, Judy Kaye sings, "Take Care of This House."
Take care of this house, keep it from harm. If bandits break in, sound the alarm. Care for this house, shine it by hand, and keep it so clean the glow can be seen all over the land. Be careful at night, check all the doors. If someone makes off with a dream, the dream will be yours. Take care of this house, be always on call. For this house is the hope of us Care for this house, shine it by hand, and keep it so clean the glow can be seen all over the land. Be careful at night, check all the doors. If someone makes off with a dream, the dream will be yours. Take care of this house, be always on call. Care for this house.
for a wonderful concert. And Barbara and I are delighted to be hosting a new season of In Performance at the White House, sharing all of this spectacular talent with our guests here in the East Room and with all of America watching on the stations of public broadcasting service. And tonight we've heard the music of America, old and new, in all its beauty, all its variety. And John, you're right about our rich musical heritage. It's fascinating the way the old joins the new and takes up its place in our musical tradition. Everything from what was once revolutionary ragtime all the way to classic rock. American music, like America itself, is a song of many voices. Our tradition is open and alive, a home where all are welcome. And that's why tonight's performance is such a perfect way to celebrate the American tradition. More than 2 centuries of liberty and democracy, ideals as vigorous and powerful today as they were on the first 4th of July. Revolutionary notions that became the foundation of the freedoms we enjoy and the whole world yearns for. Each of us should take a moment as we celebrate Independence Day to think about what this nation stands for, about all that freedom means to us. As Simon Estes sang just a few minutes ago, America is the house we live in. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America, and we'll try to take care of our house.